Hello everyone, welcome to an academy. This is Deepak once again, a verified educator from an academy. So if you have noticed in my fresh concrete test, there are some of the words come recurring like stability, mobility, compactability, placeability, consistency of cement or concrete. So in today's lesson, we are going to see what compactability and mobility is. But before that, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel of the Academy. Also follow us for the app and the website of an academy. So let's start. Hello everyone, good to see you. Hope you're having a great day. So in this course, we have seen a lot of tests and some of the tests based on the workability of concrete. All right. So some of the tests based lump cone test, compaction factor test, the VB test, the Kelly ball test, and lot of others tests. All right. So most of the tests are based on the workability of concrete. So if you've noticed, we have discussed a lot of words, just words like stability, mobility, compactability, consistency, placeability, etc. when we say about the workability. Okay, so in today's lesson, let's see what compactability and mobility is. So a lot of you will be having confusion that what are these words. So let's dissect one by one. So today we are going to see compactability and mobility. Okay, but before that, let's see what workability is. Okay, workability as a whole. So first and foremost, from IS 6461 1973 part 7, this is a very important code book because in this code book almost all the definitions are provided based on the concrete technology. Okay, so please have a look at this 6461 code book. I think there is 8 parts for it. Okay, so let's start with the definition from the Indian standards itself. So it says that the property of freshly mixed concrete or mortar which determines the ease and the homogeneity with which it can be properly mixed, placed, compacted and finished. It's a very straightforward definition. This is a definition we are almost as familiar with. So it says that it is a property with which makes the concrete to easily work with. Okay, that means the practices like mixing, placing, compacting, finishing, it can be the extent of ease to which it can be done. Okay, or it can be executed. So that's what it explains. So in the page 17 of IS 456-2000, it says that the concrete mix proportion should be chosen such that the concrete is of adequate workability for the placing conditions of the concrete and can properly be compacted with the means available. Okay, so this code itself says how important the workability of the concrete is. Okay, workability to concrete is. So it says that one must proportion and choose the ingredients of the mix based on the adequate workability for the placing conditions of the concrete and which can be properly compacted with all the means available at that time. Okay, so that's it. Now I have another 2 definitions for the workability. That's from international, that is ASTM and ACI. So according to ASTM C125, it states that the property determining the effort required to manipulate a freshly mixed quantity of concrete with a minimum loss of homogeneity. Okay, the other one says that is ACA 116R90. The property of freshly mixed concrete which determines the ease and homogeneity with which it can be mixed, placed, consolidated and finished. This is something quite similar to the IS definition. So we can see that it is quite familiar to us, this second definition. Okay, so both the definitions say the same thing. It is the ease with which it can be worked with. Okay, so now let's move on to the first of the words that we used to say, the compactability. Okay, so first and foremost, we'll start with the compactability. So to start to know any technical term, we must know the definition. Okay, one must be familiar with the definition, but the definition will provide you the clear-cut idea about what we are going to learn. So we have 2 definitions right here. First and foremost, it is the ease with which the concrete can be compacted. Okay, so how easily the compaction can be done. So that extent is known as the compactability. Okay, or the amount of internal work required to produce the complete compaction. That means the amount of work, okay, internally required to produce the complete compaction. How much work is required? How much work can be done? That means if it is a less work, the compaction can be done with the few work. That means few internal work, the compaction can be done, or it requires a more amount of works to the compaction be completed. So that's why it is that. That's what is said in the second definition. Okay, so now let's see what this property depends upon. So we know that compactability is also a part of workability. Okay, so let's see what are the factors this property depends on. Okay, first and foremost, the amount of fineness and the chemical composition of the cement. Okay, So fineness of the cement play a vital role in the workability of the concrete. So if the fineness of the cement is increased, it's like in the inverse proportion, all right? That means the amount of fineness is directly proportional to the workability actually. Okay, so that means more cement content is there, it requires a more amount of water, and also it helps in the formation of more cement paste. Okay, this helps in the formation of excess paste in the concrete matrix. So this help in the movement of internal particles like the fine aggregates and coarse aggregates easily. All right, so this helps in the increase in the workability of the concrete without getting into the state of segregation. Okay, the other one is the chemical composition of the cement. So chemical composition of the cement also plays a vital role in the workability. Now the amount of water, grading and shape of aggregates. Okay, so the amount of water, we all know that the workability has a very much high direct effect with the water itself. So in the sites we can see that people just adding the water to increase the workability, and hence it will result in the segregation. So if the water content is too much high, it will improve the workability, but what happens is that it will result in some of the extra properties like segregation and bleeding, which doesn't required for us. Okay, so one must be very careful about the water content in the concrete, otherwise it might be result in the, as I said before, segregation and bleeding. And grading of the concrete, grading of the coarse aggregates also plays a vital role, because the grading there should be proper grading. Okay, so proper grading, there will be all kind of sizes in the perfect proportion, which helps in the reduction of the voids. Okay, this reduction will help in the reduction of the surface area. So a little amount of cement paste is required for wetting all the surfaces, and hence we have extra paste once again, and the workability increases. Okay, and the shape of the aggregates, for more flaky, oblong, the undulated shapes of the aggregates can help in the locking of the aggregates. Okay, so this will result in the low workability of the concrete, which will also increase the cement and the water demand of the concrete, and hence also increases the economy. Okay, I mean increase the budget of the concrete, to be precise. So the shape of the aggregates also has a vital role for, and also the shape should be uniform, and the round glassy types will have more workability, will offer us more workability. It's from the trial and error method. Okay, and also the surface area depends upon the surface area too. And the next one is the presence of air entraining agents and other admixtures. Okay, so admixtures plays a vital role in the imparting the workability of the concrete. Very important admixtures are plasticizers and super plasticizers. So both these are very good in their respective terms. So they also will increase the workability without increasing the water content. Okay, and also they will balance the water cement ratio. That means they won't disrupt the water cement ratio. And the super plasticizers are almost used in the special concretes like high performance concrete. Okay, now air entraining agents, on the other hand, is another very one of the most vital admixtures in today's world. So these are kind of admixtures that imparts the air bubbles inside the air bubble like substances inside the concrete matrix. Okay, so this will act like a ball bearing. Okay, like if in the pure physical form. So hence the workability will increase. Okay, I have explained this all in my factors affecting the workability series. You can check that. Now let's move on to the mobility. Okay, so mobility is another factor which has a direct connection to the workability, but it has its own individuality. Now let's see what that is. Now first and foremost, let's see the definition for mobility. It is the ease with which the concrete can flow into the formwork around steel and forming adequate bonds. Okay, so it says that the extent of ease that concrete can flow into the formwork around steel and forming adequate bonds. In simple language, it says that the ability to be molded. Okay, now again, this property depends upon, first and foremost, the type of formwork. Okay, so it depends upon the type of formwork, the quality of the formwork, and also the quality of the formwork that has been quality of installation of the formwork. Okay, so there should not be any gaps in the formwork, and also the formwork will be properly cleaned inside. So all these factors can affect the mobility of the concrete. Okay, now next one is the method adopted in molding. So molding can be done by manually or by using the mixers, that means by pumping. So these things also affects the mobility of the concrete. Okay, now the next one is a time lag between mixing and pouring. Okay, so if you mix the concrete and if you pour the concrete when very lag time, that may affect in some kind of loss of water due to evaporation, and also sometimes it may affect the water cement ratio because of the heavy what can we say, vibrations or jerking that the concrete undergoes while transportation. So there should be much lag between the mixing and pouring. This is the time where the concrete mixers or the transit mixers plays a vital role. Okay, so they won't disrupt the water cement ratio and other substances. This will help. They will maintain the correct proportion of the concrete and hence will maintain that mobility of the concrete. So this mobility will help to help in the easiness if you're using the form, if the steel, if the, you can say the reinforcement used are too much complex. Okay, in such cases the highly mobile concrete like self-compacting concrete can play a vital role. So their proportion and their water cement ratio and all other ingredients should be in the correct sense. Okay, so they should not be disrupted. So that's what it said. And also the nature of work. So as I said before, whether it's a domestic work or they're in a it's undergoing a very high, what can we say, complex work like very high structures, high-rise structures or underground substructures. So anywhere, the mobility of the concrete also depends there. For example, if you're using if you're constructing a sidewalk with a curb, okay, the mobility for the sidewalk slab and the curb is quite different. Okay, so depending upon the nature of work, it differs. Also, all right, and also when we are using the mixers, okay, that means there are two mixers right there available if you're using manually. That is the tilting mixers and the pan type. Okay, so the tilting mixers are more preferable. So for the mixers if you're using the concrete of low workability and large size aggregates, and also non-tilting mixers are generally stationary. Okay, these are used in the mixing plants for the production of large quantities of concrete. So like this, with the nature of work and the nature of mixing and the nature of what can we say, the process of manufacture or the design of concrete also affects the mobility of the concrete. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you for listening. Please comment your suggestions. Please rate my presentation. Please recommend and share the slides. And this is my link to the Unacademy profile. You can see the other works that I've done based on the basic constituents in the concrete, fresh concrete. Test for the fresh concrete is also right there. So that's all for today. I wish you a great day. Thank you for being a good listener. Ciao.